Hi everybody, welcome to Do You Believe web series on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. And as you noticed, we did put up a warning. Phil suggested that I put this warning up, and I hope you all read it. The following interview with Phil Siracusa may be dangerous to the host, to those who are sensitive to psychic energies. We have been advised that demonic energy may have been encoded into this audio, and so proceed with caution. So that is a request for from Phil. So tonight, this has been a long-awaited show with Phil Siracusa. As you all know, or maybe you may not know, Phil has been on the show many times, and we do a Horsefly Chronicles live experiment phenomena series every Monday night. Now, Phil is the author of the Horsefly Chronicles. He has several books, and one that's due out soon. It's the, what is that? The Shadows of Sarah. Yes. And that'll be out soon. Now, with that, everyone, let's welcome Phil to the show. Phil, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on, Noreen. This will be an amazing show, unlike any other that I have personally done. So I want to thank you, the viewers, the listeners. Get ready. If you feel like it's a little too much, you can just step away from your computers or phones for a couple of minutes and come back. This show will be delivered at a very, very high frequency. And what that means is that the beginning of the show, after we play a couple of clips, I'm going to put headphones on and deliver the entire story from the very beginning, from back a year and a half ago. I'm going to skip through a couple of things and go right to all the unknown stuff so that the people that want to hear what was never heard tonight will be told. Having said that, I'm joined just for a couple of moments by my wife, Julie Siracusa, and I'd like her to open up the statement on the show as well.
Hi, Julie. Welcome.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say that I am Julie Siracusa. I'm Phil's wife, and I met him in August of 1999. And I just wanted to say that everything that you're going to be hearing tonight is 100% true.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to explain to them what this clip is?
Yes. Actually, the clip now, everyone, that you're going to be seeing is previous episodes that were recorded from the Horsefly Chronicles home. These were experiments. These experiments, excuse me one second, these experiments were done through various people around the world, different states. What we did is try to figure out, I'm just locking myself in the basement, what we're trying to do is figure out what we're dealing with 100%, and it's intelligence. Tonight, you're going to get a lot of information that was never told before. You can either take it as understanding or take it as entertainment. It's up to you. But what you're about to hear is 100% real. So if you can go ahead and play these clips, and then I can talk a little bit about them.
Okay. I'm going to play it now.
Time is time. For him, there is an energy that allows him to glimpse beyond his own reality and into others. Again, no evil intent, but both sides are surprised.
Is someone affecting Phil right now?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
What did it say?
I heard Phil, Phil! Somebody was calling out to Phil.
I cannot again. What?
Celsius, in the name of Satan, the
master of the world, I command the forces of darkness to bestow their infernal power upon me. Open wide the gates of hell and come forth from the abyss.
Sarah, am I the one you wish harm on?
Yes.
Something weird going on around here.
What was that?
Oh, I heard that.
Did you hear that come from his... Sound like a voice. Like a scream. When you... Did you chip me as well? What? Mine. Do you hear that? Say mine. What's yours? Ugh, I'm not yours. Did you chip me? Good God.
Can the spirits and Sarah and the other spirits travel to our location where we're at in this room? Can you teleport yourself to us? Yes or no? Oh, yes.
Okay, I just played the clip now. Phil, now everybody, we will not be taking any questions until Phil has completed and his headphones are off. So Phil, do you want to explain what you're going to do next?
Yes, so basically what I'm going to do is put myself at a higher frequency to deliver the story. Listen very carefully for those of you who have not heard the original story back a year and a half ago, and I'm going to put myself into a meditative state. However, why this show is so different is because there's other people through different states that are going to be on the same frequency as me. Now, what that means is that it's a higher vibration. There's going to be a lot of energy going through. Now, the reason I wanted everyone to watch that clip that was done with different episodes and experiments is because what we're talking about is an intelligence, an energy that may not be seen by the naked eye. However, some of us have learned how to work with that energy. Tonight will be an unprecedented show. The story, to its fullest detail, has never been told to anyone. Not any psychics or mediums that work with me, but only those that are in the circle of unity. So, if you can be just patient, I'm going to put the headphones on and I will deliver the story. Okay?
Okay, Phil.
Great. I know it's hard for people to believe whether heaven or hell actually exist, but I can tell the world that it does. I know because I've been there. See, I died in an explosion in a past life. I was sitting by a fire, a campfire, with 3 other people, and a bright light came and took our lives. After that point, I was pulled straight into heaven. When people ask me, is heaven real? And the answer is yes. It's nothing that the words in the physical world can actually explain. The colors, the smell, the beauty, and most of all, the feeling of pure love. was with an angelic being. She had long blonde hair and crystal blue eyes. Time does not exist in the spiritual world at all. So it seems like eternity. We ran with laughter in our hearts and love. And you see, in heaven, heaven is the higher vibration. It's a higher frequency. It's nothing that, again, can be explained to its fullest beauty here. Only simple terms. In the last part of heaven that I recall, she looked in my eyes and held both my hands and says, "You have to go. I will be back for you." Go where? In a flash, in a blink of an eye, I was pulled into darkness. I woke up in hell. All the love and emotion and the happiness was gone. It was filled with hurt, pain, sorrow, and screams by the hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Does the beast himself actually exist that we call here in the physical world Satan? He does. And do demons actually exist? They do. What do demons look like? Our fears. Satan knows our fears. We're there to be tortured with thousands of souls. There's no time. It's like the inside of a volcano with over 100 different levels. Each level has cubbies. This is where we are put and tortured. A bright light had came. Very small pinhole of light through this look-alike volcano. This light started to consume me. As it was pulling me in, I began to take myself back, my emotions, the person who I was, the love, the peace. But not far behind me were these demonic entities, and no, I did not see them being pulled into the light, but I can feel their presence. On September 16th, 1967, on a stormy Saturday, I opened my eyes and I was born in Staten Island University Hospital. Through adolescence, 2, 3, 4 years old, I started to have very bad nightmares. 5, 6. My nightmares became night tremors. Back in the 70s, waking your parents up and telling them that there's ghosts or demons in a home, you were laughed at because no one really understood it nor believed it. Not in my home, anyway. The older I became, the older these dark attachments started to become, I felt anyway. Through my younger teenage years, I always felt like I was being followed. But by what? I would see shadows at the corner of my eye, but not understand it. 18 years old, I began tampering with the Ouija board that I had purchased in Magical Child in New York City. I wanted to see if I could communicate with the other side. At first, nothing happened. And then, communication broke through. When I started to use this board with myself and friends, the first thing we thought it was coincidence. But the coincidence became facts. And the facts are that these things were starting to talk to us, but we couldn't understand it in the early 80s. So we did mock it and laugh about it, not understanding its true nature. Magical Child in New York City was owned by Herman Slater, and there was a book there that I wanted. I was drawn to this book. This was the book of the devil, the book of Goatia. I will tell everybody today that a book or a Ouija board has no meaning unless there's intent behind the person that uses it. And if they use it correctly, unfortunately, things can happen that they don't understand. In the early 20s, I began tampering with this book as well. I began to perform rituals. Was it working, or was it just merely all coincidence? I remember trying to get back at people that crossed me. And it worked. But I didn't understand it for what it really was. You see, dark entities play trickery. They're masterminds. And they control most of our minds if we let them. Unfortunately, we don't know what's coming until it's too late. I began to become one with this Ouija board and the Book of Goatia. I found myself doing rituals and trying to understand it. My life took another turn. I got involved with organized crime. They wanted to understand, was it true? Can you actually communicate with the other side? And if it was possible, can they find someone that was actually on the run? I know a lot of this is very hard to believe and even understand, but if you live it, you learn it, and you become one with it. And the answer is it does work. It's very powerful. And this powerful energy is at a very, very high frequency. So what that means to us here in the physical world, it's a high pitch. This pitch is a different vibration that we can even understand. And when that happens, it opens up the gates and portals. And I began to realize that now I'm almost one with these entities. And is it possible? What is a portal? What is a vortex? Does it actually exist here in the physical world? You see, you can't see a portal or a vortex unless you're on that energy level. I couldn't see it at first, at all. Now, what I did not know was that someone knew my every move. So as I was performing these rituals and doing the Ouija board, a girl by the name of Leah, we'll call her, Leah. She knew everything about me. I remember bouncing on a club in Staten Island, and this girl comes up to me, and she says, Sarah tells me everything. At first, I thought she was crazy. I went into the club searching for her, but I couldn't find her. One day I was driving on Richmond Road in Staten Island, going about 45 miles an hour, and a girl walks in front of the car, and I skid and almost hit another car. I started to run after her, but she got away, and it was her again, Leah. She was also playing tricks, but she also knew my every move of myself and those around me. What I did not realize is that the energy that I was dealing with was slowly taking me in. In the early 90s, I wanted to become it, one with the demon that was taunting me. I felt like if I became one, I would understand it and what it wanted from me. I took the possession through the Book of Goatia and various rituals to accept myself as being possessed by this entity. I started to take in total darkness and never seen the light at that point. Life became very, very difficult. But I knew as well that I had a battle on my hands. But it was okay because I wanted to understand it. Most of us will never see an actual demon. But the dark energies do exist, and they do attract to our auras, which is an electrical field around our body. When you accept it and you become one with it, that energy is now part of you. And people ask me up until today, what side do you want, good or evil? The answer is both. Both because I understand both sides. Heaven, hell, good, and just pure evil. I owned a gym in the mid-90s, and I had members there that were Wiccans. After conversation about what was following me, and through various rituals with the Ouija board and ceremonies with the Book of Goatia, then realized myself that I can share this energy with others because I felt that I had the capability of teaching people how to work with this energy. So what people did not hear ever up until this very, very show is that I started to perform and bring people in to what I call is not an occult, but a circle of unity. Each person had to be accepted and understand, but also deny everything of its belief to others that question it. I can tell everyone without names that throughout the United States, we are everywhere. We are separated, and the energy that I have learned to use through taking this possession has traveled on. And people ask me, why did you separate? We felt like the circle of unity would have a balance, that we will protect ourselves, and those that try to harm or conflict pain against us, we didn't have to go after them in the physical world. We can just use spirituality through this energy. After years and years, we began to test the frequency to see if it actually was possible. The frequency that I am on now, many people are on. This frequency is a higher vibration. When we go back to the first clip of Karen saying that Phil's able to see into other dimensions, other places, the answer is she's 100% true. Last week's episode as well, when they talk about you're at a higher vibration and frequency, some psychics and mediums pick that up very well. And what that means is that the energy is so strong that we can work with it to protect ourselves. Today, we are over 100 people separated throughout the United States. We protect and look after each other. We're not an occult. We do not sacrifice animals or anything like that because we don't have to. We've learned through frequency, vibration, how to work with an energy that's unseen to others. And what that simply does is protect us. Some of the benefits were that people that were in bad relationships and wanted to get back with other people and spouses, through happiness, we were able to do that and make them get back. And I will tell you that this energy does not work all the time. but most of the time, if we're on the same frequency, it does. Now back to Leah. Leah knew every single move, and we met. She came to my home one day, and she didn't drive a car. She knocked on the door. And I was furious, because I wanted to know who she was, the mystery girl, I call her. Very beautiful, but yet very mysterious. She said to me, there's a lot I have to tell you. So we decided to go to New Jersey at a Red Robin. I drove. And she started taking out these pictures. These pictures were orbs and energy shifting. But these pictures were not hers. They were through her parents and her grandparents. I was trying to understand what exactly she was trying to explain to me. What she was telling me is that she was the girl that died in the explosion with me on my left side before being transported to heaven. I found it almost impossible to believe. She took me to a place in Staten Island to prove that this was all real. It's called Richmond Hill, Snake Hill, an old cemetery, and right across from it's a pond. We went up this hill, and we stayed there and talked for hours, and she was explaining every single picture. Now, at this point in my life, I knew how to work with these energies, but I wasn't sure who she actually was. We made love in an open field. We fell asleep. The morning came, and Leah was walking over to me. And she said, stand up. And I stood up. She says, take out your left hand. And I put out my left hand. She opened her hand and handed me a horsefly. As she's doing this, I think she's actually crazy, but yet I'm trying to understand, who is she? Who is this girl? How does she know just about everything? My friends and fellow Americans, I'm here to tell you that I know a lot of this, again, is hard to believe, but we are not the only Earth here in this world, in this universe. There are others just like us. I have been to this other Earth. As I was holding this horsefly, she gripped my hand with her two hands and told me to close my eyes. And this is exactly what happened to me. I went into a trance, almost a sleep state of mind, and I wound up back at my mom's home on Richmond Road. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I remember saying, Mom, what am I doing here? She says, you're not here. Then where am I? Then Leah's voice said, Phil, hold the horsefly. Don't let go. I began to hold it tighter in the palm of my hand. Is anybody here? Hello? This is what I'm saying. Now I am holding on a fence from the 1800s, a fence. And the feeling is so peaceful. There are houses in the distance. Is anyone there? The scenery was so beautiful and open. The land was immense. But it wasn't earth. It wasn't heaven or hell. Where was I? I don't see anyone, but yet I could feel people coming. It was so peaceful I'll call it the other Earth. I could see somebody walking from miles and miles away coming closer to me. I said, "Hello, can you hear me?" This kid is around 14 years old. He's walking over to me. "Who are you?" He said to me, "I know you. Your name is Cal. K-A-H-L. I said, "No, my name is Phil." He laughed as he walked closer. He says, "No." He shook my hand. He says, "Your name is Cal." Who am I? I am thinking in my mind that I made love to this girl. I woke up. She walked over to me, handed me a horsefly, and then my mom is telling me to get out of bed, but I wasn't even there. I couldn't be home, but I'm at another place, at another time, as this is happening. Now there are other kids walking over, all teenage kids. "Hi, Cal." And I'm yelling, "I'm not Cal." And they're all calling me the same name. He says to me, one of these kids, "Look in the reflection of the puddle in front of you." I can remember hearing Leah's voice in my mind. "Hold the horsefly." I am looking into this puddle of water with the reflection of the sun. I am 14 years old. And I am saying to myself, how is this possible? And then I'm starting to look at the faces of all these people around me. I know them, but I can't put my finger where I know them. I'm 32 years old, but yet I'm 14 on this world. You see, this Earth, I'll call it, it's not a real name, does exist. And we travel on. And our true souls will take the shape and shift of the people that we truly are, that we feel we want to be, the way we feel that we look best through our own soul and our own energy, because we make up who we are. This is the way I was realizing what was happening. This peaceful feeling in this other place was so overwhelming. The boy with the helmet that I did not explain, only on previous episodes, was an alien that took me over upstate New York when I was 7 years old. He did not take off his helmet, but I asked him to. He says, "I will scare you." On this other Earth, as I will call it, he was there, just like us. And he says, "I did not want to scare you." Some people call them star children. They're at a different frequency than us, but yet they're so much smarter and they know much more. And some of us are able, through astral projection, to go to this other place that is so beautiful. Yet it's not heaven or hell, but it's another place. And I'm looking at all these teenage kids walk over to me, and they're all happy. And he says to me, "Cal," which was my name that they called me, "turn around." So I turn around, and the girl walks over to me, and my heart is racing. "Who are you?" "It's me, Leah." "What?" And I froze. "How is this possible? you're only around 14, 15 years old. And she said, I had to bring you back home. Home, that's what she called it, to show you the truth. Hold my hand. And I did. And I see a light. And one of the kids are being taken into the sky to be born into the physical world. This other place is a very high frequency, but yet Leah knew this, and she was trying to tell me this. When I was taken out of my meditative state that she snapped me out of, in my trance, she says, now do you believe me? I was frozen. I didn't know what to make out of it. After that point, she says, now take me somewhere. We got into my car, and I says, where are we going? There's so many questions I have for you, and who are you? She goes, go to your home. I went to my parents' home. I pulled in the driveway. We both get out of the car, and she looks at me and says, goodbye. And I was saying, goodbye, what does that mean? I have questions. Who are you? And she says to me, now your life is about to begin. She walked away. Until this day, she's never been found or heard from or even understood. And I know a lot of people in Staten Island, but no one can rectify who she was. But then she was right. In August of 1999, in a club in Staten Island, New York, I was pushed from the back into a girl who spilled her drink over her. And that girl is my wife today, who made the opening statement on today's show. There was a plan. There was a master plan behind all of this. People ask me today, Phil, who was Leah? I believe that these people, like her, are interdimensional. But she didn't just exist within the mind. She existed in the physical world. So is it possible that she could be an alien, an interbreed that walks among us? My friends, the answer is yes. The way I'm understanding it, some of us are meant to understand, to teach people what we've learned. My wife, the girl that I met at that club, I felt the darkness and I felt the light, but I felt there was a master plan and a mission behind what was about to happen and unfold. We began to live together, and then we began to have children. And then I tampered again with the book of darkness, not telling anybody my secrets. Anybody. Only those that I trusted within the circle of unity that I spoke about earlier. The book of Goatia, I called the book of the devil. I summoned all 72 demons back in the early 90s. And I asked to take the possession and be possessed by one. Do I believe that this actually happened? I do. I'm going to go back to Karen on the very beginning of the clip when she says you can see into other dimensions and times. Now, through pictures that Noreen's going to show, one of the pages in the book of Goetia explains how the demon makes that possible. How the alignment of the stars and how they work through us. To this day, this does exist, with no names. It'll be denied for our own protection. But some of us act as gatekeepers. Some of the locations that people go to, whether it's a paranormal event or a haunted site, we've learned through this energy that portals can be opened. We wanted to understand its higher intelligence and frequency, and that's what we did. Again, a portal is not seen through the naked eye, but it can be opened through spiritual words and belief and intent upon the objects that it wants to use. We feel that if we do this, it acts as a full circle with a dot at every quarter. That dot is a portal. The portal acts as if you were holding a flashlight, shooting it from one side to the other. This energy is transmitted through different people at different times. Those that are on the higher vibration will feel it, others won't. We also know that certain people have to come into our lives like Leah came into my life. We have to bring them into our lives for understanding of each other. And I've done so. Every demon has a host, and every host has an apprentice. These entities and energies that flow throughout the earth are all real. Chances are that you'll live a lifetime and not see one. Other times you'll feel the negative energy and oppression that goes through, and you'll be overwhelmed by its existence. But you won't know what you're dealing with. I can tell everyone now, looking back at the clock as a 48-year-old man, when people ask me a couple of questions, heaven, hell, the other earth, aliens, entities, angels, is it all real or is it all fake? It's all real. It's 1000% true. You see, at 7 years old, when I talk about the boy with the white helmet that wouldn't take it off, but yet I met him on the other earth and he showed his resemblance as a 14-year-old, he showed me this piece of property upstate New York through mental telepathy of the spiritual body. We were hovering over a dam and looking through the water of a lake. And he says, in years to come, this is the property that your family will own. Years did come, and my family did purchase this property. But as I began to go into the darkness, into the mid-90s, I found myself attracted to this one grave site back from the 1800s. His name was John Rose. Now try to follow me as best as you can. I know it can be a little bit confusing the way I'm delivering the story, but it's through a deep meditation that I'm trying to. This grave I dug up was me, my cousin, my younger sister, and her ex-boyfriend. I was drawn to it because I felt like there was something that was in that casket that I needed to have. And it's evil. It's pure evil to do something like that, but yet I did it. When we opened up the casket, which was wooden, the energy that came out was like no other negative energy that I've ever felt. And the smell. And the cloth was wrapped around the bones. I began to uncloth and look very carefully at what I was told to get, and I took it. And to this very day, I have it. But in return, what was actually happening is that we were being attacked by these insects and flies and mosquitoes that I couldn't even explain where they came from. And on the board, as my sister and her ex-boyfriend are doing it, it was threatening us. Now, through pictures, when Noreen does actually show it, you will see the picture of the stone. But more importantly, do you remember when Leah told me on this other earth that I really had to recognize who I truly was? Sometimes we believe that we are rediscovering the possibilities of ourselves through other lifetimes. Now, on those obituaries was my name and my wife's name, Julia, just the way it's spelled, Julia. John Rose's mother was named Sarah. Now, people ask me, is that Sarah? I actually don't know that answer. Sarah has become one of the most powerful entities and energies that myself and these other people within my organization work with. We do not see her for what she truly is because she shows herself different ways to different people. But yet, she acts as a protector for those that understand her. So people would ask me, is this the energy that you're working with? It's one of them. It's probably one of the most powerful ones. Could Sarah actually be Asmodeus, or the counterpart of Asmodeus? Through the experiments that are going forward, through alien psychics and past life regression and spiritual readings, through the equipment that we're currently using, we're trying to understand who she is. But we do know this. Over the last 25 years, her energy has been helpful in ways that she makes us see things that no one else can see. No one. On the last episode that was done on Ireen's show, the psychic medium says that you, Phil, you know when certain tragedies are about to take place. And I will tell everybody, no, I don't know every single one, but most of them I do. And I try to block it out. I get this from the voice of Sarah, but yet the book of Goatia, from the words of that one demon that helps translate through its mental telepathy to myself within the physical world. When you're dealing with demons and ghosts and entities, you don't know they're Phil doing within our world. But what we do know in my circle is that they do exist, and we're able to work with them. This is not a movie or a fairy tale. Over the last 3 years, I personally wanted almost every paranormal team under the sun to come to my home. And up until this very day, I still do. Well, certain things we do not talk about. Others we're still trying to understand its own intelligence and how it wants to work with us 100% within the physical world. These entities have proven themselves over and over again. I do not practice black magic. I practice energy, because that's what it is. And I sort of laugh that when people try to sacrifice animals or things for the greater cause of the devil to do their work here in the physical world, you don't need to do that. If you understood how energy truly works, then you would understand its full capability and the power that it has. I'm able to see into other times. Yes, I am. I'm able to see this other earth for what it was. And maybe someday some people will go there. These, whether we call them hybrids, these other beings that walk the earth with us, alienated, they do exist. How many are there? I don't know. For years and years, I tried to track down this one girl, and I couldn't. She's gone. And I realized that every single thing she told me was true. See, there was a plan to meet my wife. There was a plan to have children. There was a plan to work with this energy. There was a plan way back in the mid-90s to start a force of energy through people all over the globe. So when we rediscover ourselves, I can tell everybody, as I've told before, that we truly never, ever die. This energy that we have will go to another place, and it will take the perfect fit of who our true soul is. And that's what this higher intelligence, Leah, was trying to tell me. I'm sure a lot of people have questions. In a couple of moments, I will take myself out of a meditative state and this frequency. The one thing that I do ask is that you don't ask me about names and locations. For the privacy of what we work with, we don't reveal any information. And I hope that you can respect that.
How do you feel, Phil?
Okay.
You okay? Okay. Now, talking about Leah and what you had explained, I do believe that she is alien. I mean, that's from what I was hearing you, I do believe that she was an alien. Now, you know, another thing I was thinking, do you think you're a hybrid?
I don't know. I thought the same thing for years. I honestly don't know the answer to that, Noreen. What makes you ask that?
Well, because this story that you remember about dying, then you go to hell and you come back up again into heaven. You know, aliens implant memories. They don't want you to remember your other stuff. But they implant memories in humans. And I'm just wondering if that's a memory they want you to remember.
I would say, yeah, I kind of believe that. That they want me to remember, because that's the only way that I can even answer that.
Now, you refer to a circle. Are you allowed to say who was in your circle?
No. The circle of unity that I explained is people across the United States that when I started to realize how to work with this energy, I wanted to teach other people as well, for their protection, for their own well-being, but sworn to deny everything.
Oh, so you're working with other people.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Now, also you had mentioned that you were able to foresee tragedies?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us which tragedies you did see?
Heartbreaking, yes, I can. It was 1992, and my brother had worked as a manager in the cornucopia between the two World Trade Centers. And I remember I wanted to buy a juicer at the time. And so I went to New York City, bought a juicer, and cornucopia separated those buildings. I mean, the Concord, I'm sorry. And I remember being about a couple blocks away, and the voice came in my mind and says, turn around. And I turned around, and she goes, look up. So I looked up, and she goes, one day these buildings are coming down. And I shook my head, not in a disbelief, not understanding what was happening back then. But yet, a couple days before it happened, 9/11, I had these bad dreams of plane just hitting everything. And then sure enough, it unfolded. So I believe that these higher beings, these energies, want certain people to know. Unfortunately, we don't know times and places of exactly when things are going to happen to prevent them. That's the unfortunate part.
Oh, now also, Phil, you asked me to to tell you the word frequency.
Frequency is the higher vibration that we put ourselves on, that we learned how to use with through translate this energy that we're talking about. This energy puts us at a high vibration, which means that when we're there, we're able to almost talk to the entity through mental telepathy and protect the people that are around us. Now, I will say this. It doesn't work every single time. But when we do, it does work. When we do have all the intent and everyone is in the full stage of wanting to work with this energy, it can work. And you know, that's one of the things that I've understood is that, I guess from Leah as well, that there's an energy force around us, but most of us don't know how to use it. And when I took the possession of that demon, I understood at that point what's the master plan, how to use it. It's dark, it's negative, but you can foresee things that other people can't. But yet you can reflect the negative energy to others that try to do harm to you.
All right. Now, you said that you took possession of a demon. Is this demon still with you?
Yes.
So it's with you day in and day out. It's always with you.
Yeah, so basically now what that means is that when I talk about I'm separated between both good and evil, once you take the possession of it, and back a year ago, I don't know if you remember, but I did have a ministry here. I tried to have everything removed. But unfortunately, when you take a possession of the intent of wanting it, and it gets stronger with you, there's almost no fighting it, and that's why we gave up the fight.
I'll have another question. You dug, I remember, and this you had said this on a previous show, that you did dig up the grave and you opened it up and you took something out of it. And that there was a cloth. So there was a cloth inside of this coffin, and you...
Well, the top of the casket had a cloth, like every casket does. It was a wooden casket, and the cloth settled around the bones. But buried with that was something that I was told to take, and I still have it in my possession, and people ask me why. It's energy. It's power. You see, remember when I told you that this being had shown me a place that my family would own, a place that was to come? These people that were buried with this person, John Rose, who's now a ghost, I believe, that is also around here, with the names of various children through Sarah and Jacob Rose. So trying to understand that and having something from it, that casket, it's very, very powerful, and it does work. Not miracles.
So this object that was inside of John Rose's coffin, well, so what was John Rose? What was he doing with that object?
I don't know. You know, me and Carissa, actually, about a year ago, we tried to look him up, and we found out that he wasn't a good person. He might have been into darkness himself. He, had multiple wives. He came from a very wealthy family, but he wasn't a sane person. So whether him or the people he was with practiced the occult or black magic, I don't know. But the possibilities are very, very likely that they were into some kind of darkness. You see, Noreen, dark entities, demons are always a step ahead of us in the physical world. I talk about this a lot. They don't think like we think. You see, we think like, okay, do something bad to somebody. That's not the way they think. There are so many steps ahead of us on their own level that they'll do what they want when they want, but they'll also bring us down a path that we don't even know we're going down. Consciously, we don't know what's happening, but it happens.
Are you ever going to reveal what you took from the coffin?
For the safety of myself and the people in the circle, I can't.
And you still have that object today?
Yes, locked away, yes.
What's going to happen to that object once you pass on?
Good question. That's a very good question. I don't have an answer for that.
Is this object available to the family?
Nope.
Only
Just
you?
myself.
Interesting. Now can you... Oh, now I also want to tell you, the viewers were saying that they were hearing ringing and drums playing while you were talking.
The ringing could be the higher frequency that I was putting myself on with others. I told you that the show was going to be listened to, weeks ago, different ways through different people within secret societies. One, for the protection of themselves, that I don't reveal every single thing about where they are, who they are. That's an oath. But the drums, the Indian drum beat, some people might hear, that goes back to when the explosion took place before I was pulled into heaven. You see, how do I explain this? That when you go into an ocean, there's waves that come at you. Each lifetime that we live is a different wave of energy. Some of these waves are very high, higher than others, that we actually can have a remembrance of. But other people who have abilities, whether they're psychics, mediums, or clairvoyant, they can actually feel the wave coming and hear the sounds.
Now, when I was looking up the book of Goetia, I did see some books that said Goetia and that Aleister Crowley underneath. What book of Goetia were you using?
That's one of the basic books. I have one of the original books, the black cover, the gold lettering. Now, this book of Goetia, let me ask you something, Noreen.
Yeah.
Can you show the viewers as I'm speaking about this?
Yeah, I've showed it several times, and I will show it again. The black book with the gold, that's what I'm showing.
Yeah, so first I say don't buy that book. That's the first thing. Because when you get into that world, it takes you right in. That book was one of the higher practices of Herman Slater. Now, back a few weeks ago, someone had made a comment on a video that it was one of your videos or Dave's videos, that he lived in New York City. He knew about Herman Slater, Magical Child. He knew about some of the occult practices that were done. Some of us, like himself, you see, as a young teenager, when you're learning and you're developing here in the physical world, trying to understand, is this all real? Are the possibilities real? Well, Herman knew all that. See, he knew because he practiced it, he understood it. But he didn't encourage it to the wrong people. I had a hard time getting that book. The original book that I had was locked in a glass showcase, and that book today is buried in that casket still. So the original book that I have was never taken out.
And now, what is the reasoning for you burying that book of Goetia where the coffin is?
Sarah, John Rose's mother, as my sister, my younger sister, and her ex-boyfriend were doing the Ouija board, in return, because they knew my mission, I told you that these things are always ahead. Even when people cross over now, they give us an advancement. They're ahead of us. They wanted the book and the Ouija board in return. Now, we buried it in return in the casket, and I took what I wanted. But then what started to happen years later, in the late 90s, is that I was going into these hallucinating dreams where I was back at that cemetery and seeing them for who they were when they were here in the physical world. There is an energy that when people cross over are able to communicate with us in the physical world. It depends on how they want to use that energy. And certain objects, if it has enough intent behind the object, like we used it for, they'll work with it through the spiritual world to communicate, and whether it's taunt, or to forewarn us about things. Now, what's very interesting is this. Eastern Paranormal Society, when they came to my house a few years ago, that's how I met Carissa Fleck. And she talked about seeing this person that no one knew about. And I really didn't believe it at first. And then my older brother was here one day in the summer, and she goes, "No, I know this guy. He was buried. You did something to this guy." So it's interesting that he shows his presence. I, for one, don't see him, but she has seen him, and other people who have been to my home have seen him. And I think the reason for that is because of what I took. But then people would say, well, wasn't there an agreement made? There's power lines, like we have power lines from pole to pole. There's power lines in the spiritual world as well. That I believe that if you have something of someone's and they have something of yours, that line of communication is always open. And how they want to communicate or whatever they want to do, it's there. It's an open channel for them to come through.
What you spoke about tonight, is that in your book?
A lot of the stuff that was spoken about tonight is not in the book. It was in the book that's about to come out.
Oh, the new book, Sarah?
It never came out. It's still in the process, but a lot of the stuff is there, but it's just no one knew about it. Absolutely nobody.
Does anybody? I saw some questions in the chat. Can you repost your questions? I don't know if I can go back and see.
So I know it's a lot to absorb and take in and try to understand the whole thing, but on the scratch of the surface of my entire life and the entire story that I live is this. Well, I didn't have 5 hours to go through my complete life. I wanted to break it down into bullet points. So these entities do travel. There are aliens among us. They're, whether you call them hybrids or intelligent beings or interdimensional shadow people, these things are true. It's all real. It's not make-believe. And some of us have communicated with these things and don't even understand what they want with us. But I guess, people ask me, what's my mission? And my mission is maybe to reveal the entire story.
But you will never reveal what you took from the coffin.
No.
Margarita wants to know, do you believe that the object is responsible for the haunting at your house?
Some of it is. Most definitely.
Okay.
Some of it.
Oh, and then Never Too Late said, have you ever tried to contact a demonologist like Ralph Sarchi? Or
Yes.
the Warrens? But the Warrens they're not around anymore.
Yeah, actually, he's been here.
Oh, okay. What happened when Ralph Sarchi came out?
Well, this is before Demon Files came out, the TV show. He was back the February before this one, and he wanted to see if it was a real case. He came down here with his counterparts, and we spoke, and he recorded me. And seen exactly what I was talking about through the corner of his eye, and then got up, walked to the other side of the basement a couple times. But we never followed through because of a different belief. You see, my belief is that there are aliens and that they are interdimensional, and somehow they're tied with these demonic entities. Other people, like himself, doesn't have that belief. And I felt like if you're truly trying to remove something, you better know its full capability before it comes back and gets you all the way and takes you in the grave with it.
All right, let me explain myself about the Warrens aren't around anymore. What I meant was Ed Warren passed away years ago, and Lorraine Warren is extremely senile now, so there's no way she can ever do cases again. Now, Jasper wants to know, let's see, 1 minute you want to get rid of the entities, and then you talk about using them. And he said, what are you trying to accomplish?
Experience, learning, understanding its full capability of how it actually works. And I've been able to almost get the understanding of its intelligence now. So when people say, well, shouldn't you remove it? Don't you want to remove it? There's a toss-up, and I talked about that at the beginning of the show. Separated by both good and evil. And I guess that goes back to my own thought process, is that if it's fully gone, then the power is fully gone as well. The energy that I work with is fully gone.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Venter Storm, what would you recommend someone do to achieve a higher frequency?
Find yourself, your true self. And the only way to do that is through deep meditation. You know, like you had said earlier, Noreen, some people are meant to understand it. Some people aren't. But what I do know is this. I do live in Pennsylvania, in Eastern PA, and a lot of the stuff, again, that I say is very hard for people to believe and understand. But if anybody wants to meet me, I have the capability of showing them from my mind to yours in person, which I have only done for the people in the circle, only done this other place that is called another earth and that higher vibration, and I can do it, and I don't charge $1. I would do it for people that have an acceptance and understanding of what you actually do see. Now, Noreen,
Yes.
let's get some bullet points. Now, as I've been putting myself into a meditative state, did you show some of the pictures?
Oh yeah. Now, can you?
Can we go to a specific picture so I can talk about it?
Okay. Now, there's one. I didn't show them because I want you to tell them. It's about the shadow people. So let me show that to them. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah. Now, can you just explain which picture it is? Because I don't see
It's the
it.
one in front of your house. You said you caught that at what, a couple of days ago, 10 days ago?
Last Saturday, I was picking up one of my kids from work, and something told me to take a picture of the front of the home. It was a Saturday night, so I went out there with the cell phone and I took a picture. Now, if you look very clearly at the picture, and if you could zoom it in, above the chandelier on the second floor to the right, you're going to see two shadow people. They look like kids.
I'm showing that to them. Okay, and another picture that you wanted me to show was a old farmhouse with two worlds. What's that one?
That picture has a lot of heart and a lot of meaning. And why I wanted that picture to be shown, there is a duplicate Earth, but a lot bigger and a lot greater than this Earth. But they're just like us with a higher intelligence. You see that farmhouse? That's not a picture from another Earth, but that's what's there, just like that. It's the old setting. That's what's there. and that's all real. So I wanted to have that picture out there so people can get a visual of what I'm talking about when I talk about this other earth.
And then you wanted me to show the picture with you with the red door, the orbs, and the posting of UFOs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So do you have that up?
Yes.
Okay, great. In July of 2007, it was documented, not by me, but by other people that lived in eastern Pennsylvania, of a UFO sighting, a disc, metallic shape object up in the sky. I did not see that, but I had an experience, and I had an encounter where these three beings came through the window through teleport. I today would call them the Greys. They were very tall, skinny, with silky fingers, but they control the mind. And when you try to fight and get away, you actually can. I remember being levitated. My wife, in a stand, she went up into a scream and was stopped, and then I was turned around and something was implanted in the back of my skull. Now, if you listen to the entire story carefully, I talk about these beings. They're very intelligent, and then some of them want us maybe to explain to the rest of the world that they do exist, because maybe our government won't let it come out.
Okay. And then the other picture, you wanted me to show the basement with the two orbs on the on the wall.
Those pictures are actual orbs. Now, most orbs can be dust particles. If you shake a blanket and take a picture. There was the second paranormal team ever to come into the Horsefly Chronicles home 3 years ago. They had various types of equipment, and what you see is what you get. This is the energy that's traveling. Now, let me explain to everybody very carefully. Energy. Phil, how do you explain it? It looks like what we see it as in a picture is an orb, right? Or it can look like lightning in the sky, but very short, like a foot long, or a couple inches long, and it's able to travel and manifest into what it wants to. And when I talk about being able to work with this energy, when you put yourself into a higher frequency, you're able to almost shift that energy to other people that need it. And again, it's darkness. I'm not saying that it's good, but I'm also saying that it does work, and the possibilities are there. Now look, the Horsefly Chronicles, there's been numerous people here. Some people may see nothing. Some people may capture everything. But what we do capture is the energy floating, and that's what I talk about, being transported from person to person, from state to state at a higher frequency.
And then there's another picture. It's the two-tone one, you know, the beige on the bottom and then the darker on the top.
Back about a month ago, I had a party here in the basement. Huge mistake. You know, I had old friends over and everything. I put on my Facebook page, and then an argument started to take place. And usually when that happens, something bad's about to occur, because they're here, the entities. So I got the cell phone and started snapping pictures because I knew it. And now that's a blown up version to show people, but that's an actual entity at the bottom of the stairs. Yes, it's hard to make out what you actually see, because you will never see a true demon for what it really is. But you will see, if you look very carefully, the darkness of it and how it wants to take its shape as a human form in the best that it can.
And then like I had told you earlier, you had sent me this picture with blue and pink, but I don't believe I have the whole image in there, because the one you showed me had a lot of white in it.
Yeah, so Eastern Paranormal Society captured that picture. Now, that picture you're looking at probably doesn't show it for some strange reason, but the actual picture in the portal, the room that I'm in now, shows the entity through a matrix on the wall, and that's through camera. I have the actual picture, but unfortunately it didn't come in as clear when I sent it to you. So when people say to me, well, do these entities, where are they? They're everywhere. And not just the horsefly home, but entities are everywhere. They do roam the earth. And they attract themselves to people that accept them or people that they know are going to be harmed because their vibration is very low. How does a person get a low vibration, a low frequency? A person that commits a lot of crime, adultery, things like that, they're lowering their soul energy, the aura, and then an entity from the other side is able to attack that and bring that person fully down.
All right, we have another question from Jasper. Oh, he says, can he show, meaning you, us proof of these entities right now?
If I could, I'd be worth $1 million. No, I can't.
And then he also wants to know, how does he know the entities weren't lying to him? Demons are tricksters.
Very true. When you live it and you learn it and you understand it, deception is the root of the devil. He's the mastermind. Most of the time, it is deception and false and lies. But when you work with other energies that help you understand these energies, when you take possession of being with it, almost trying to become it as best as you can, you learn almost what you're dealing with. And that's pure evil.
And one last question here from BCH Bounds. How does your wife feel about what you're doing, or what you do?
People are brought into people's lives for a reason. People try to understand it, but I don't talk about it publicly to her or my kids to the way that I would speak on a radio show. I just try to talk about it very lightly. But me and my wife had several talks about Sarah, about the entities in the home, and how I knew certain things that were about to happen that Sarah told me things were going to happen. And the best way that I explained to my wife is that don't fight it, understand it, and just let it be. Now, I will say this, it's funny. Here's the funny part about this whole thing. My kids sneak out at night. I'll know. Not every single time, but I get the voice. Go check downstairs. And it's Sarah. And then when I go downstairs, you think it's your mind, Doreen, you think your mind is like playing tricks, like, okay. But then the light starts to flicker. And then you realize that, okay, something's going on. So, Sarah and Leah, let's talk about that for a second, because if anybody's listening to the show 100% carefully, Leah, let's say Leah was an alien, right?
Yeah.
And she was able to communicate with Sarah, who's a spirit, a ghost, whoever Sarah really, really is. There's a connection between the both worlds, between the alien world, if that's what we want to call it, and the spirit world. And through that, this one girl knew everything. She knew my every move for a very long time. And Sarah communicated back to her. So tonight's show has a lot of takeaways. If it's understood very carefully, is that these entities, an alien, if that's what we want to call it, communicate to certain people in the physical world. Now, again, July 2007, when I was taken over, it's something that I felt was implanted in me. Was it a mass hallucination? Do you know, I woke up the next day, the room was a mess. And I asked my wife what happened. She goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I remember, I have a lot of biker friends. They don't believe in nothing but nothing. That's it, they're just bikers, and, they just do their own thing. But they says to me, did you hear about the UFO sighting out here in Easton? I was like, no. And that's when I started to realize that what I thought was a nightmare or a bad hallucination was reality.
Wow. Is there any more questions for Phil? I think that was the last one. Any more questions, guys? Some of the viewers had to leave at the beginning of the show. They couldn't stick around. I guess there aren't any more questions, and we are on a 30-second delay. Well, you have quite a story there, Phil. So what are you doing? So I know you have this inner circle that you're working with these. Well, you're working with this circle of people on higher frequencies, and working with higher frequencies. What is that going to do?
It's able to protect us. And even though some people that you may think are on this frequency that I work with are in it, they're not as of yet. There has to be a trust factor, a very big trust factor. And the biggest trust factor is, can someone actually deny everything? Deny it. If you can do it, and you can believe it and understand it, and then you can learn to work with the energy, with the rest of the unity of this circle, then it does wonders. It protects. It's the best way I could explain it. Let's say you needed, some people do spiritual protection with the white light. Some people that are into maybe darkness cast out evil things towards other people. The protection makes it so that people don't get affected by other people, but yet can make things happen in the physical world that's not understandable. So how would I explain it? Let's say, again, Tom was in a bad relationship. He got heartbroken because his girlfriend broke up with him. But he couldn't understand why, and that door in his life closed. Through the energy that we work with, we found a way to reopen doors. Not every single time, that's make-believe, no. But we found a way to do this. Now, something that we did not talk about, 1991.
Oh, you did mention 1991.
A very powerful, powerful, powerful year.
Okay.
How do I explain this to people? Can a spirit take over, not a demon, but can a spirit take over a person in the physical world for the person that you want them to be? The answer is yes. It's possible.
What? Say that again.
Can a spirit take over a person for you to want that person to be who you would love and care about? Is it possible? The answer is yes. So let me get into that now.
Right.
Let me explain this to
All
people.
right.
Are you ready?
Yes.
In 19... Can we, as I'm doing this, can we go back to the house that I grew up in?
Yeah, hold on. Let me find it. Yep, I got it.
Okay. In 1986, I remember laying on my parents' bed. I was watching television, and this the screen started to get staticky, and then this voice, this female voice, she came into my mind, and she says, "I'm coming. I'm coming." She showed me a picture of another home, very big home, with the staircase that she would be standing on. Blonde hair, blue eyes, for who she was. So I shook my head. The TV went back, was working the right way. A few years later, my family had purchased this home that I was shown through this girl. 1991, in the Staten Island Mall, I was walking, and her voice comes into my mind, and she says, "Are you ready?" And I says, "Yes." But I didn't know now. Let's not forget that as you're growing up, you try to dismiss a lot of stuff because you got so many friends and you're growing up that you don't understand everything because you don't want to. You try to live a life, a happy life, a regular, natural life. But she goes, "Are you ready?" And I says, "Okay, I'm ready." So I dropped something on the floor in the mall, and then this girl bends down, picks it up. She's got blonde hair and blue eyes. We started to talk. We exchanged numbers. The spirit that told me this in the 80s took this girl over, and we were in a deep relationship. Now, people say to me, how is that possible? How is that remotely possible? Some people call it walk-ins. When one soul leaves, another one comes in. I call it the spiritual world. That the possibilities of a spirit going into somebody and wanting you to live the life with them, that specific person of who they are through the spirit, it's all possible. And I had a relationship. The relationship was so strong, Noreen, that it reflected now to the girl from heaven. Remember when she says, "I will be back for you"?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This whole year from 1991 to 1992 was the highest of purity, emotion, love, up until I was with another friend and I kind of felt I was doing something wrong, and the book of the devil, once again, we were just goofing around, and I started to read these passageways. And when you read passageways that you don't understand and don't know how to work with, you're opening up doorways. And something so pure and good can also become so evil. And that's exactly what happened. So, can a spirit actually go into another person? The answer is yes. You remember the movie Ghost?
Yeah.
With Patrick Swayze?
Yeah.
Very, very similar, where he wanted to reconnect. Those possibilities are all true. I know they're in movies, but throughout my life, I've had people that wanted to get back with people that they fell out of relationships, or they needed things to change dramatically because they were in harm's way, either by the law or whatever it may be. And this is why I created this circle. I created it. This circle of unity. Because it protects people. It's not the perfect world. It's not the perfect storm. But it gives us more power and understanding of how to control our lives, of who comes into it, how to reopen doors, and even how to shut doors.
Now, Phil, you had mentioned that you met your wife, Julia, in 1991.
Julia, I met in 1999.
Oh, I thought you said 1991.
99.
Oh, okay. How did you contact these other people for your circle? Did they contact you?
Well, I had a gym on Richmond Road in Staten Island, and a couple other people were Wiccans. We would talk. They see me going with the little potions and oils and incense, and the conversation started. And then this guy that was a good friend of mine, who was also a member, and this is how powerful this really is that his girlfriend screwed him over. She wiped out all the furniture. She took his bank account, and he was heartbroken. And I was heartbroken for him. He was devastated. And then, through talking to some of the members that have different beliefs, and believe it or not, they're doctors, that do this, they began to help me understand more of what I was dealing with, but yet help my friend. So late at night, we would do these rituals to get back at this girl that did this to him. Within a couple of days, she got hers very bad. And I started to realize that's when the power, this energy, you see, the energy works with you if you understand it and the people around you understand it and you're at that higher frequency level, that higher energy level. And then when it happens, it helps you in cases like that. Now, recently, I've tried tampering with the thought of doing certain things, but, living the life that I live, right now I'm just more tied up into other things and I'll let that go. But I will tell you that it's a protection circle. Some people have prayer protections. Some people have their own spiritual protections. I have what I call just plain simple words, a circle of unity. Nothing found anywhere on any website or anything like that. And that's why it's still going very, very, very strong today, all these years later, because of an oath of denial.
When you were doing those rituals and those sayings, did they come from the book of Goetia that you were using?
Yes.
They did. So that book of Goetia, the one that you were using, is that the most powerful one?
Yes.
And that's the one that people should not. And that's what, the Lesser Keys of Solomen?
Yes.
But isn't there?
It was one of the originals. It was. I'm sure there's many, many carbon copies out there, but the one that I had is buried. But it's one that Herman Slade also tampered with. The power of it is unbelievable, but yet it's meaningless to a person if they don't know what they're doing with it. It's just a piece of paper and a book, and it doesn't do anything. It's how to use it, and that's what took years and years of practice and understanding. And these people that are doctors today, all walks of life and all fashions of whatever uniforms they wear, they know that this book, and if you put yourself on that higher vibration, the power of it is amazing.
So Phil, did these doctors use this book for their own?
They were behind the scenes. They were pagans, Wiccans.
Oh, they were.
Yes. And you would never think it. You would never understand it or believe it, because quite frankly, I thought it was impossible that people with such high standards and priorities would actually look into the darkness. But you see, there are people that are in the circle of unity that are from Staten Island, again, no names, that are singers. It can open up the doors to what you want if you know how to work with it. It's not a hocus pocus. It's not an I Dream of Jeannie. But a lot of conspiracies out there with a lot of how did this person make it to where they are. There's a lot of truth behind the scenes to that.
So these doctors must have used that book then for enhancement of their position.
Yes.
And would that also give them more knowledge to
yes.
and able to do, like if maybe they wanted to specialize in brain surgery?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Because when you're working with an energy and you understand it, you're able to open up. We only use a certain portion of our brain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, right.
Now, when you're able to use an energy to open up more of your thought process, then you understand more, and then what you want to do in the physical world becomes more reality.
Now, Phil, that particular book that you had, that was a rare book, wasn't it? It was only so many
yes,
public...
very rare, very, very rare book, yes.
And they don't make that book anymore.
That exact one, no, not at all.
So the other books that have been published, the Book of Goetia, Are they as powerful as the one that you had?
No. Now, again, the book only has the power of the person that has the intent to use the book.
And
so if they don't have a strong enough intent, then that book doesn't do anything. Now, a lot of the carbon copies or paperback editions, those books, the original books, there's very few. They go for $8,000. You look on the internet, they're a lot of money. People will not give them up. They're in the thousands and thousands of dollars for the originals because they know the power of it and what it's capable of.
In order to do do you call them spells? Is that what they are?
No.
What do you call it?
Spiritual energy, shifting spiritual energy.
Okay. Do you think that movie stars and that have used that? Now they've always said that they thought that movie stars sell their soul to the devil. I've heard that Bob Dylan was one of them, and they said Beyonce and all these little symbols that they'll have pictures of these movie stars with doing these certain symbols with their hands. Do you believe that maybe you do, that they have also really to get power and money, and does that backfire on them after doing that?
I don't play God, so I don't know. 3 years ago, this girl she wanted to become another person, wanted to become a singer. And she's like, I can't have anybody listen to me. I can't get an audition. You need to help me. And it took time for me to trust her, a long time. And when I felt that I trusted her, we were able to open up doors and her journey began. The possibilities are endless. It's amazing as well. It's really amazing. Noreen, people ask me, like that guy asked earlier, well, how come you want the entity around, but then you don't want it around? There's a separation because you have a power now that you're able to help other people and teach how to use this energy. And then would you let it go and live the average person's life? That's the tough question for me. Very tough. I don't even know, because now I look at this girl. She made it. No names. She made it. She's working her way up there. So the point is that I will always deny it. But yet, on this show, I will tell you that it's there. It does exist.
But Phil, you've got that demon attached to you.
Now, let's go back to what Karen said. You're able to see into other dimensions and other realities. The other Earth. Noreen, if there's anything I could teach people, maybe this is my true calling in life. I believe that we all have a calling, right? You have a great show. You're, great host. I am not a medium. I'm not a psychic, but I know how to shift energies and help people and teach people what I've learned and what I know is real. The other Earth. We're not alone. Ghosts, demons, heaven, hell. I'm able to talk about this to people. And you know what? Sometimes I get messages and people saying, thank you. Thanks for helping me, because now I know that, the illness that I have, I'm able to cross on and never truly die. And that means a lot. To me, it does.
I want to ask you again about this circle that you're with for this higher frequency. Have they ever wanted to use this to get back at somebody?
Most definitely.
Oh, real. Now, another question I have for you. Do curses work?
Yes.
Can somebody put a curse on you without you even knowing it?
Yes.
How would you...
So here it goes again. back on the show, I talked about this. You ready?
Yes.
Every demon has a host. Every host has an apprentice. So, let's say that you didn't like somebody because they did you wrong 1,000 times over and you were just done. The negative energy that travels can be shifted to that person's aura. That reflection of energy that they have, if they had a good aura, they start to take the darkness in. And when that happens, they become a host. Demon will not leave them alone unless it's called off or their energy is depleted and they have suicidal thoughts and things to that nature. You know, through the years and years, and today, you know, today's show, no one's ever known this. I'm explaining it because I feel like people should know the possibilities are real. It does work, and that's exactly how it works. So you see those orbs that were shown tonight, right? Those pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Picture that energy now onto somebody else's energy, but yet now it's taken from their energy because it needs to feed off of something. It feeds off of their fear, their emotions, their output. Evil finds your weakest link, whether it's a drug addiction, they're an alcoholic, they're a manic depressant. It will feed off of that. If it finds that pinhole, it will take that person down. Now, it's not good for anybody to do that to anybody, but I call it protection for people that do get crossed over very badly, and you really can't get back at them. It's a protection barrier that's able to be used. Again, I haven't done it in a long time. There are people, of course, that do it every single day because they've learned how to use it. And it does not work all the time. It doesn't. It doesn't work through just a meditation or a prayer of a negative prayer to a demon or the book of Goatia. You have to put yourself at a very high vibration and frequency to work with this intelligence, to attack, and to become one, and for it to find its host of who you want to go after.
I would be so afraid of doing that to somebody, but then having because I believe in karma, eventually it's going to get you.
Most definitely. Karma is very real. Karma is very true. I spoke about that on previous shows. Karma is very real. You know, if a person deserves something because they really crossed you over, and it depends. If it's minute, then you should never practice dark magic. But if it's something that has really broken you as a person and your spirit, then it's up to that person if they want to go that route.
Wow.
So, you know, I'll just say this, is that, you know, me and one of the people I work with, it's on the shows, says to me one day, you know, you need to tell me because I'm running into people and I know that these people know you somehow. So tell me, how do they all know you or what's going on here? How is it possible that these doors are opening up? There's things that we know, there's things that we call for, there's people that we want to bring into our lives for certain reasons, to help themselves and help us. The outcome is it's possible. It does work. And I've always utilized this energy in different ways. Not in hurtful ways, but in different ways. And I think you know where I'm going with that, or who I might be talking about. That there's people that we know how to shift the energy for doors that were closed to be opened up.
I truly believe that evil people will eventually get theirs. Maybe not in the same manner that they did to you, but something brings them down.
Yes.
Let's see.
So the show tonight is about light and darkness. It talks about both. It talks about, is it real? Can it be possible? You know, I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people out there that can master a craft. I just do it differently than everybody else, and I've taught it differently.
Sweet Hindi wondered if you could talk about dimensions.
Yes. My belief from what I've seen is that we live in a three-dimensional world. Let's blow up a balloon in our minds. Let's re-blow up another balloon and put that inside of the first one. And let's re-blow up another one and put that inside of the second one. Let's say that we live in the first balloon. Some of us with abilities are able to see through the other balloons into those timelines. Some people that can do astral projection or can put themselves into a deep meditation through sleep can actually cross over through the spirituality into those worlds. Sometimes it's just a dream. Sometimes it could be just a nightmare. But other times, you'll know because when you wake up, it'll reflect the day that you live. The next day, you'll be like, wait a second, this was going to happen because in this dimension it said it. I was walking into harm's way, or I was walking into somebody that I haven't seen in years. So that is very possible, from my understanding. I do not do astral projection. I'm just a regular person that knows how to work with energy to see into these things through the eyes of an entity.
All right. Bridget Harrison. Phil, how do you know the difference between dreams and reality?
A dream is something you wake up and say, oh, I had a bad dream last night. Reality is that it takes place. Some way, shape, or form within the physical world, it'll take place.
Babo, any repercussions for dealing with negative entities?
There's always a repercussion. There's always repercussions. You don't know what they are, and you try to balance with what you're working with the best that you can. And that's why we do these experiments on these shows, because we're still trying to understand its full intelligence. But yes, there is repercussions. Is there such thing as karma? Most definitely. However, if you had a choice to do something that would get you in trouble by the law, or do something spiritually that can be taken care of in a different way, which one would you choose? I'd choose the spiritual way. Now, what I'd like to do, because I feel it's very, very important, Noreen.
Yes.
Can you do this for me?
Yes, what?
I want you to replay the clip one more time.
Oh, God, really?
Yes.
Let me see if I can do that, because I made it, I might have to re-download it, because, I don't know if I can do that. Hold on. You know, that's a 2.5 minute clip, honey. Okay, well, I don't know. Let me see. Let me see if I can replay it. Hold on. Move, cat.
The reason I want you to play it is to recapture the imagination of the people that are actually watching and listening to what I'm talking about.
Okay, hold on. Because I asked it to be removed, so I'm not sure I can replay it. I might have to re-download it all over again. I'll try. But I don't think it'll play. Hold on.
Time is time. For
Okay,
him,
fine.
there is an energy that allows him to glimpse beyond his own reality and into others. Again, no evil intent, but both sides are surprised.
Is someone affecting Phil right now?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
What did it say?
I heard Phil! Somebody was calling out to Phil.
I cannot again. What?
Celsius, in the name of Satan, the master of the world, I command the forces of darkness to bestow your infernal power upon me. Open wide the gates of hell and come forth from the abyss.
Sarah, am I the one you wish harm on?
Just let me know when stuff things have something to explain.
Something weird going on around here.
What was that?
Oh, I heard that.
Did you hear that come from his... Sounded like a voice. Like a scream. When you... Did you chip me as well? What? Mine. Do you hear that? It's saying mine. What's yours? Ugh, I'm not yours. Did you chip me? Good God.
Can the spirits and Sarah and the other spirits travel to our location where we're at in this room?
Can you teleport yourself to us? Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's finished, Phil.
Okay, now I want to explain something. Thank you for doing that, Noreen.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's talk about the episode with Anthony Sanchez.
Right.
Did everyone hear it when he caught it on his device? Phil. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay. The other Earth, my friends, is a communication to some of us here on this Earth. What you're hearing is through another time zone, another Earth that's able to sometimes connect with us. Do you remember when I talked about I looked in the reflection of the puddle on this other Earth and I was 14 years old?
Yeah.
If you really listen to the voice that was captured on Anthony Sanchez's device, very carefully, this is the other Earth I'm talking about. These teenagers. These are teenagers. These are people that took the perfect fit of their soul there. And it's all real. And that's why I wanted you to replay it. The intelligence, the response that we get through these sessions that we do, whether people are medium, psychics, clairvoyant, whatever they are, whatever walks of life that they practice, that we bring on to some of the shows, not everyone is 100% at all. But if you listen to the last 12 episodes, almost everyone has caught that we're dealing with another frequency of intelligence through these devices, through the Oculus 5, through the voice recordings, through the EVPs, and over and over and over. Carissa Fleck, in the last 3 years, has caught numerous things from this home. Some of these things, my friends, we are communicating with a whole nother intelligence of us. Perfectly said. And it's the only way I can say it. I know that a lot of people don't believe, unless it's talked about on the news, that we found another life form, or I don't need anyone to tell me anything that I know. And that's why I want to share my knowledge with everyone.
All right. Let's see. Super Witchy wants to know, has Sarah ever attacked you?
No. Sarah herself? No.
Cindy Burke.
But let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish that. Has Sarah punished other people that didn't do what she wanted? Yes. See, now, Sarah, what I did not talk about, again, because it would take just too much time, is that she always wanted, this was a spirit that wanted to be born into the physical world. Leah knew. This Leah, this alien, whatever you want to call her, and they call me Cal. They knew it was possible. But when I went through various relationships, and the people I was with didn't go through with having the child, they were punished. Not for myself, but for the spirit. And how do we know this? Is because we've talked to the spirit through the board. And I've blindfolded people to test the truth about the spirit. So Sarah's not light or dark. She's in the middle, from my belief.
Okay. Now, Andrew, honey, I don't understand what you're talking about. Andrew Cox said, Noreen, what happened to cause the explosion? Did you say something about an explosion, Phil?
Yes, that's how I died in a previous life.
Oh, that's right. I don't remember hearing that before.
Remember I said that Leah said she was the girl?
Yes, yes, okay, so what happened? What caused the explosion?
I don't know. That might have been a war. I honestly don't know, but I just get war.
Okay, let's see.
And doesn't it give you goosebumps when you think about the whole story? You actually have to re-listen to this podcast, because when I talk about it, Sarah was there from the beginning.
Yes. And you don't think for a minute that Sarah is Leah. They're two different people. Okay. Two different entities. Okay. Venture Storm. Phil, what is allowing you to break the oath of denial?
What's allowing me is just to tell it the way I can tell it, the way I'm allowed to tell it. No names, no places, just talk about it. And it's taken a long time to get an approval to actually do something like this. A lot of secret societies, a lot of them, have very, very similar practices. But you don't talk about anything else but possibilities that it can be true. That's it.
All right, we have a question from Jeremy Lagus, and I think Jeremy came late to the show because he said, does Phil believe that he is the subject of a demonic attachment or partial possession? And you had already talked about that.
Yeah.
No, we'll tell Jeremy he came in late.
I would say possession, both, and demonic attachment, both. Definitely both.
And possession as well, huh?
Well, I took the possession in the 90s.
Yeah. Well, they may be referring to also as when somebody is going to come in to do an exorcism on somebody, the final step is possession, and that's when they start, talking in different tongues and.
Which I went through a year and a half ago. I went through that. Yep.
You did?
Yeah. And myself and Carissa went through it. The house, we did it in the basement, and it was a very, very bad outcome. So we don't talk about removal. We just talk about accepting and just dealing and trying to live our lives. But yet, there's the other part of working with the energy as well. Because sometimes So let me explain to the people out there how these energies, what it would feel like. Let's say there was a massive thunderstorm, lightning in the sky, and you walk out and you feel that static electricity. Now you take that static electricity and you intensify it by 100. You feel a very, very, very high energy. Some people, it might be putting on a song that it just enlightens you. It makes you feel incredible. You bring yourself up there, but when you're working with an energy, you keep yourself there. That was the secret that we've learned.
Phil, I just want to ask you, when you were talking in different tongues, Carissa was with you?
Well, she was actually, there was a couple of occasions. One was a few years ago when I got overtaken by the spirit, and she seen it firsthand and then snapped me out of it. And the other one, there was a ministry at my home, and I remember them reading certain passageways through the Bible, and then I was out of it. And then from a couple of people that were in the basement had told me you were speaking different language that no one even understood.
Did they ever get that on tape?
No, there were no recording devices allowed when the ministry was here.
That's too bad. And was that the only time that happened then?
Yes.
And that was when they were trying to cleanse the house and do an exorcism on the house?
And myself and Carissa, yes.
And that's when that happened. And after they left, then you never happened.
Then the house was cleared and free, but 48 hours later, it came back full force. And again, for people that really find the story hard to believe, you go on YouTube, you type in the Horsefly Chronicles, and you're going to see a toy dinosaur on top of a slot machine. That dinosaur is not motion or light activated. Dave Spinks has been down here. We try making it go off. What you see is what you get, in plain sense. When the entity came back after the deliverance, it wanted us to know it's here to stay. And it made that dinosaur go off in the toy noise. It's the toy noise, but on the questions I was asking, and the shadow person coming down the stairs, Noreen, your friend had caught, it is what it is. It's right there as clear as day.
Yeah, Royce actually captured that.
Amazing, yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
So I back up everything I say. I back up with the evidence that we have so far up to date.
All right. I have another question from Janet Wolf. Can you answer me, when someone crosses over to the light, can you still talk with them?
Yes.
Do you talk to the other side?
I'm not a psychic or a medium. But what will happen is it becomes like secondary hearing, where you hear these things, you don't know where it's coming from, and you start to realize that you're actually talking to someone that crossed over. Recently, one of the people that were at that grave died, and through one of a piece of equipment that actually Carissa had here last September, his voice came straight through. So when we're dealing with energies, think of it as a guitar. Each band has a different sound. Each sound has a different pitch. Each pitch has a different frequency, and we always go on. And that's the takeaway. That's the best part about tonight's episode, is that we truly never die, ever. Our flesh, of course, but our spirit never dies. And when Leah was showing me, and I'm telling the world what she told me, look in the puddle at your reflection, and you're 14. Do you have the picture of Foch Avenue?
Oh, yeah, hold on. That was the house you grew up in, right?
Yes. Yeah, not the house now, just the street. I gave you the street as well.
Oh, I didn't separate it. I have them together.
Okay, that's fine. You can put it together.
All right, hold on. Okay. I'm showing it.
Okay. Now that street, and the reason I wanted to post that, at the age of 14 years old, you've heard me, whoever listens to some of these shows, I was stopped in the middle of the street. It was a beautiful summer day. There was like 50 kids in the neighborhood. I had to walk home to use the bathroom. And I was about 50 feet away from the home, and I was stopped still through my mind. Something stopped me. I remember my friend yelling, "Phil, get out of the way, this car's coming." I'm 14 years old now, okay? Remember that. And in my mind, this being says, "Phil, are you having a good time in your life?" And I answered back, "Yes," through my thoughts. "Good," it said. "This is where you will wind up when your life journey is complete." Now, people ask me, what does that mean? Let's go to the other earth when I talk about 14, 15 years old. What that simply means is that some people have to repeat the lifetime that they lived because of a karmic view through another dimension. That's exactly what that means.
All right, let's see. Venter Storm wants to know, how would one go to let go of a bad action that somebody else performed on you? Essentially, how to let go of a grudge.
Well, the best way is to try to forgive a person. That's the best way. But if you can't forgive because the person keeps retaliating against you, then it's up to your own mind what you want to do.
I have a few things to say, but I'm not going to say it on air.
So when people also ask me, there's been a horsefly caught at other people's homes in different states, or the black fly that looks like he has the red eyes. One of the things I wanted to do tonight, but I did not get an approval to do it, was I wanted to show the possibilities of that. But the answer is, when you're working with an energy, it can happen, and you can make these things happen. So can a person who cast out an energy make something else appear at someone else's home that lives far away? The answer is yes. Can they be circled and haunted and taunted? The answer is yes. Can the spirit of the demon see through that person's eyes? Yes. These are practices that have been going on for centuries upon centuries. The only difference is that this is the new age. And the new age, in working with different people, realizing how to actually work with it as best as we can.
Now, you said something about you didn't get permission. On tonight's show, were there some things that you...
When we're talking about certain things cannot be said, there's a lot of people that they don't want things revealed, and that's definitely understandable. So that's what I mean by permission. Okay. So I'm sorry that if I might be skating around a couple of questions, but I have to do that. Not only for the protection of myself, but for others.
How big is your circle?
Very big.
Does it grow every day, all the time?
No.
Have you gotten new members in your circle?
We don't. The biggest thing about having a circle of unity, that I'll call it, is called trust. If you can't trust someone, or you have a possible doubt and trust in them, they'll never become part of it, because they'll break it. And 25 years strong, it has never been broken. It only got stronger. Not new members come in every day. We don't put there's nothing like that. It's through people that actually believe in other people, that won't talk, that try to have an open mind, and then we take another step. But it's a very long process that we work with, and it's our own little practice that we utilize here in the physical world.
I didn't know you've been doing this for 25 years. Wow. Okay. All right. Sweet Hindi wants to know, how do you know you're chipped? Oh, how do you know if, let's see, how do we know if we were chipped?
I asked that question on last week's show, if you remember,
Yes.
to the person that was on it,
Yes.
the psychic alien medium.
Yes.
I don't know. I honestly don't know the answer. If you felt like you were, you know, we're going to go for an MRI and say you're chipped, they'll put you in a straitjacket. I don't have an answer to that one. If somebody has an answer, you can enlighten me on that.
All right, I see lies. Has Phil ever researched super soldiers? His opinion on what he knows of them?
Nothing.
Okay. Wow, that was quite a show, Phil. That was very interesting.
Thank you. I believe that there was a lot of information given, and it's a lot to take in, listening to once. It has to be listened to a few times. But if the person listened to the first episode we did a year and a half ago, I believe it was,
Oh yeah.
and then recapture it with this one, you'll get the full picture and the full scope of everything.
Yeah, I'll never forget that first show. It was something.
So, Noreen, you know, this is why we do these experiments. This is why I still have paranormal teams coming here. I also have other people coming forward, I'm about to announce soon, coming to my home. Because I want my words backed up. Well, I can't prove everything. Well, I can't talk about every single aspect of the circle of unity. I can talk about what I do know, what I've learned, and what other people that also know me learned that come to the home.
Well, don't everybody, every Monday, we are on the second season of the Horsefly Chronicles live experiment phenomena, and it's on Mondays at 6:30. All right, Phil, thank you so much for being on the show. It was a long-awaited show, and people do have to realize that there are some things you just can't say. And I know they were disappointed because they've all been waiting patiently to see if you'll ever reveal what was taken out of that coffin.
Well, I revealed a lot of information if you really look at the whole scope of it. The only thing I didn't reveal is names and places.
Well, the one thing that everybody really wanted to know, and I totally understand, is the object you took out of the coffin. Because it's so secret, you know how people are. They want to know, that's human. They want to know what's the secret. What did you take? Very interesting, Phil, and thank you so much for coming on the show because it's been long awaited and people wanted to hear more on what you had to say.
Thank you very much, Noreen. Thank you, everybody, for watching, listening. I hope you enjoyed everything that you've heard and understood it or take it with a grain of salt. Signing off from the Horsefly Chronicles home, the portal. I'm locked in alone. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great night.
Good night, Phil. Thank you very much. Good night. Well, very interesting. That was very interesting. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. It was a long show. I found it very interesting. I learned some things tonight I hadn't known. And Phil did reveal a lot more than what he has before. And I hope you can understand as to why some of the stuff he didn't reveal. And it's understandable. So I want to thank you all so much for being here. Don't forget there is the Horsefly Chronicles Mondays, and then again next week. And hey, you know what? Next Thursday, it's called the Mojave Desert Incident, and it's a horrifying alien abduction that happened to this couple. And Ron Felber, he wrote the book, and he will be my guest on Thursday. So, everybody, thanks again so much. Hey, you want me to do some shout outs? Okay, let's do. Oh, Sean, I thought you couldn't come to the shows anymore, Sean Bodine. Thanks for being here. John Rad, hi, John. Astral Virgin, I See Lies. Summer Sims, Janet Wolf, David Coffin. Thanks, David. Haven't seen you for a while. Let's see, Bridget Harrison, Mama Joe. Hey, Joe. I See Lies, Real Psychic. Anybody else want to shout out? Super Witchy Game, Nancy Soplavita, Joyce Lynn, Margarita Harveth. Oh, and don't forget, thanks to my mom. I only saw my Royce tonight. I didn't see any other mods. But again, I want to thank Royce for always being here and being my mod and helping me out. I couldn't do these without him. Venter Storm, Janice Bolt, Scooby, what is that? Scooby Cobb? Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for being. You're new. Everybody, if you haven't subscribed, would you please subscribe? I'm only like, I think 10 away, maybe 20 away from 18,000 subscribers. I'd love to get some new subscribers. Don't forget to please subscribe. Charmy Vapes, Charmy Vapes, Russell Hilgendorf, Jimmy Cortez. Hi, Jimmy. Also, everybody, please send positive vibes and prayers to Jimmy and to Royce, please. They need that. Zippy Davis. Oh, you're welcome, Royce. Tammy. Anybody else want to shout out? We had a pretty nice crowd tonight. Andrew Cox. Yes, Andrew. Be safe out there. Happy trucking and be safe. What? 18 now? Oh, I'm only 18 away from are you almost 18, or am I 18 away from having 18,000 subscribers? Beat 3 Airspace. Jeremy Lagus. Don't forget, Jeremy's going to be on the show August 4th. Jeremy is a funeral director, and it's going to be a very interesting show. He's also, I guess you call him a mortician. We're going to find out what are his duties. He's also an embalmer. He's got a lot to tell us. It's going to be a really interesting show. Let's see. Let's see who else. Okay, anybody else want to shout out? I gotta go, guys. Anybody else want to shout out? My son is here. I forgot I have to do something for him. Oh, Sandra Miller. Anybody else? Okay, guys, hold on. Come here, pussycat. You guys haven't seen Bunny lately, so here's Bunny. She sits by me every time I do a live show. She's always here. Say hi, Bunny. Say hi. Say hi. Okay, guys, I'll see you. I'll see you Monday for those who follow the Horsefly Chronicles live experiments. I'll see you on Monday. If not, I hope you come back to Thursday. I'm really excited about that guest and hear the story about that paranormal, the abduction. Okay, so everybody, I just lost track. Sorry. I'll see you guys next week. Love you guys. Group hug. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Good night, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you. Good night.